What if I told you that a man could be confessing his feelings for you without even realizing it himself? It's not in the grand gestures, not in the dramatic love declarations from the movies. It's in the quiet, casual sentences he drops when he's not trying to impress you. That's where the truth lives. Most women miss it. They overanalyze the silences and underestimate the sentences. But men, they speak in code. And when a man starts to care, his words shift. Even if he's not ready to say, I like you. You see, men are taught to stay composed, to hide feelings, to not say too much too soon. So instead of I'm falling for you, he says, let me know when you get home. Instead of you're on my mind, he blurts out, I was just thinking about what you said yesterday. You might brush it off, thinking it's polite, casual, even friendly. But what if those tiny phrases are actually emotional breadcrumbs leading straight to his heart? In this video, I'm going to decode 5 phrases that most women ignore. Phrases that, when spoken by a man, mean far more than they seem. Once you recognize them, you'll never feel confused about his feelings again. Because when a man starts to care, his words tell the story his ego wants. And if you know how to listen, you'll hear the truth he's not saying out loud. Let's get into it. When a man says, I've never told anyone this before, he's not just sharing information. He's testing safety. He's opening a private door and watching carefully to see how you react when he lets you in. This isn't a phrase men throw around lightly. In fact, most men are raised in environments where vulnerability is not encouraged. It's hidden, masked, even mocked. So when he says this to you, understand, it's not about what he's saying. It's about why he's saying it to you. He's telling you something deeply personal, maybe from his childhood, maybe a failure he carries, a fear or a dream he's never voiced, and he's choosing you as the first person to witness it, that moment. That's sacred. He's not giving you facts. He's giving you access. Now pay close attention to the timing of when this phrase comes up. It usually happens when you've made him feel seen. Not for what he does, but for who he is. Maybe you listened without interrupting. Maybe you asked something no one else bothered to ask. Maybe you just held eye contact a second longer than most people are comfortable with. That's when a wall begins to crack, and this phrase slips through. I've never told anyone this before. When he says that, he's not just expressing interest, he's expressing emotional trust. That's the seed of something real. For many men, emotional intimacy is harder than physical closeness. So when he shares something raw and vulnerable and admits it's new for him, that's not small talk. That's him showing up as his truest self. He's risking judgment. He's risking rejection. He's hoping you won't see him as weak, but as human. And in that moment, how you respond will either deepen the bond or build a wall back up. If you brush it off, change the subject, or react with discomfort, he may retreat. But if you hold that moment gently without pressure, without expectation, you give him something rare, emotional oxygen, a space where he doesn't have to perform or protect his image. That's powerful. This phrase is the quiet beginning of emotional intimacy. He's saying, I feel safe enough with you to not be perfect. That's not just a sign that he likes you. It's a sign that he trusts you. And trust for a man who's used to hiding his heart is more revealing than saying, I love you. So the next time you hear him say, I've never told anyone this before, pause. Look at him not with shock or pity, but with softness. Let your presence tell him, you're safe here, because it's in these small, unscripted confessions that men show their truest intention. Not in flowers, not in dinners, not even in compliments, but in the rare, quiet courage it takes to let someone see them fully. And if he's showing you that side, it means you're already someone who matters. At first glance, it sounds simple, maybe even routine. Let me know when you get home. A sentence you might hear from a friend, a coworker, or even a stranger, just being polite. But when a man says this to you, especially in the early stages of knowing each other, it often means far more than just checking in on your location. It's not about the destination, it's about you. This phrase is one of the clearest, quietest signs that a man is beginning to care. He may not have said, I miss you when you're gone, or I worry about you, but those words are hidden inside this one line. Let me know when you get home isn't just about logistics. It's a soft, almost unconscious form of emotional attachment. It means he's thinking about your well-being even after you've left. It means a part of his mind stays with you after the moment has passed. Men often struggle to express concern without sounding controlling. They don't want to come off too strong, so instead of saying, I want to know you're okay because I care, they cloak it in this quiet phrase. It's a gentle way of saying, you matter enough for me to feel unsettled until I know you're safe. This phrase is deeply instinctual. It taps into a man's natural protective energy, whether he realizes it or not. When he says this, he's stepping into that role without being asked. It's subtle, yes, but meaningful. It shows that his emotional investment is starting to grow. He doesn't just want to enjoy your company, he wants to make sure you're okay when you're not with him. And here's where it gets even more powerful. If he repeats this phrase consistently, not just once but every time you part ways, take it as a clear sign. You're living in his emotional orbit. You've become part of the internal checklist he runs through in his mind. It's a shift from attraction to connection. And most men don't say this to every woman. Sometimes it's said casually. Other times he might add, "Text me when you're inside," or "Just shoot me a quick message." The words change, but the meaning stays the same. He wants peace of mind that you're okay because that peace is tied to you. It's not about needing control. It's about feeling responsible for your comfort, your safety, your experience of the world. So the next time he says, "Let me know when you get home," don't dismiss it as politeness. Hear the deeper message behind it. It's a man's way of saying, "Your presence lingers with me, and I won't fully settle until I know you've made it back safely." In a world where men are often told to withhold emotion, this phrase breaks through the surface. It reveals care, concern, and a heart that's slowly inching towards something more than just attraction. It reveals a man who's starting to love in silence. When a man says, "You remind me of," he's doing something far more intimate than making a comparison. He's drawing a line between you and something meaningful in his emotional memory. And that's no small thing. Think about it. Men don't typically go around connecting people to moments, unless those moments made a lasting impression. So when he says, "You remind me of my best friend from college," or "You remind me of someone I used to know who really understood me," he's reaching into his internal archive, his mental and emotional scrapbook, and placing you next to something or someone that touched him deeply. That's vulnerability dressed up as casual reflection. The power of this phrase is that it tells you what kind of emotional space he associates you with. It could be nostalgia, warmth, trust, or even something unresolved. But one thing is always true: it means you're leaving an impression. He's not just seeing you as a new face in his life, he's integrating you into his story. Whether he realizes it or not, this kind of mental connection is profound. Sometimes it sounds playful. "You remind me of this character from a movie I love," or "You're like that one person in high school who always had her life together." But even when it sounds lighthearted, it reveals a deeper truth. He's studying you, storing little things about your personality, your expressions, your energy. And what he's doing in that moment is emotional association. He's trying to understand who you are by linking you to someone or something he already understands. But this phrase can also reveal how safe he feels with you. If he says, "You remind me of my sister," or "You remind me of someone who really believed in me," he's subconsciously showing that you give him the same emotional comfort, grounding, or acceptance. He's not just saying, "You're like this person," he's saying, "You're making me feel what they made me feel." That's emotional weight hidden behind casual language. And here's where it gets even more powerful. What he chooses to compare you to tells you a lot about what he's looking for and what he values. If he compares you to someone who challenged him in a good way, he may be craving growth. If he compares you to someone nurturing, he may be seeking emotional peace. This isn't just a compliment, it's a mirror into his desires. This phrase also signals that he's paying attention. Men don't always express what they notice, but when they begin forming emotional comparisons, it means they're watching the details: your laugh, your way of thinking, the way you carry yourself. He's not just attracted to your appearance, he's drawn to your energy. And that's when real connection begins. So the next time a man says, "You remind me of," don't rush past it. Pause, listen, because he's not just reminiscing, he's revealing. And in that reflection, you'll see the edges of how he sees you. When a man says, "I was just thinking about you," it may sound innocent, even casual. But make no mistake, this phrase is packed with emotional subtext. It's not just a passing thought. It's a signal, sometimes subtle, sometimes bold, that you've taken up space in his internal world. You're no longer just someone he sees, you're someone he feels, even when you're not around. Men don't usually announce their thoughts unless those thoughts carry weight. If he's reaching out just to tell you that you were on his mind, especially without any practical reason, it means he's emotionally invested. You weren't part of a task. You weren't a to-do. You were a feeling, a pull, a spark that interrupted the silence of his day. He might say it mid-conversation, "That song came on and I thought of you," or randomly in a message, "I was just thinking about you earlier." Either way, He's inviting you into a personal moment. It's his way of gently revealing that your presence lingers, even in your absence. That's not flirtation, that's resonance. And here's what most people don't realize. When a man says he's thinking about you, he's exposing his emotional rhythm. He's showing that you're not just an occasional thought, you're a recurring one. You're the smile that crosses his face when nothing funny is happening. You're the softness in his chest when the world feels heavy. You've become part of the background music in his mind. This phrase also reveals vulnerability. For a man to admit he was thinking about you, unprovoked, is to take a risk. He doesn't know how you'll respond. Will you brush it off? Will you ignore it? Will you feel the same? But he says it anyway. That small act of emotional honesty is brave. It's real. It's revealing. More importantly, it's personal. He's not just reacting to what you say or do. He's voluntarily reaching out from his own inner world. That means he doesn't need your presence to be reminded of you. Your impression is lasting enough to surface on its own. That's a powerful place to occupy in someone's mind. It also opens the door for deeper connection. How you respond to this phrase can either strengthen the bond or make him retreat. If you acknowledge it with warmth, even a simple, "Really? What made you think of me?" you validate his emotional reach. You show that his thoughts matter, and in that small moment, trust grows, connection deepens. So the next time a man says, "I was just thinking about you," listen with more than your ears. Feel the emotional weight behind the word. Understand that he's not just making conversation. He's revealing that your presence has echo, and that echo is starting to shape the way he sees his world. In a society where emotional transparency is rare, this phrase is a quiet confession. It's his way of saying, "You matter to me maybe more than I know how to say out loud," and that is never accidental. When a man says, "You make me want to be better," he's not just complimenting you. He's revealing the profound impact you have on his internal world. This phrase is a window into his transformation. It's not surface level praise. It's not flattery. It's a deep emotional confession that you've awakened something in him that maybe he didn't even know existed. Men aren't wired to change easily. Many stay in their comfort zones for years, routines, habits, mindset, but every now and then someone enters their life and shifts the ground beneath them. Not by force, not with demands, but simply by existing in a way that reflects what's possible. That someone, often unknowingly, holds up a mirror to the version of him he could be, and he starts to believe in that version because of you. "You make me want to be better" doesn't mean he's not enough. It means he sees something extraordinary in you that inspires his own evolution. You spark self-reflection, you stir growth, you ignite ambition, not with pressure, but with presence. The way you speak, the way you carry yourself, the way you respond with grace or challenge with strength, these become quiet motivators for him to elevate who he is. And when a man feels that kind of emotional pull, it's unforgettable. He starts noticing things he never paid attention to before. He wants to communicate more clearly, show up more consistently, love more deeply, not because he's trying to impress you, but because he respects you. You become the standard, not in a way that intimidates, but in a way that inspires. This phrase also comes with a layer of humility. When a man says, "You make me want to be better," he's admitting that there's room for growth. That takes courage. It's vulnerable. It's raw. Because in that moment, he's not putting on a mask of perfection. He's telling you, "I see my flaws, and for the first time, I want to rise above them." It's a rare kind of honesty. Most people resist change until someone makes them feel seen and safe. When a man feels emotionally safe with you, safe enough to admit that he wants to improve because of how you make him feel, that's the beginning of emotional intimacy. It's the beginning of real love. This phrase also points to future thinking. He's not just enjoying the present. He's envisioning who he could become with you by his side. He's imagining a stronger, more intentional version of himself, and you're part of that picture. That's powerful, because men don't fantasize about growth unless the woman in their life makes them feel worthy of it. He's not just dreaming, he's starting to believe. And belief is the beginning of everything. So when a man says, "You make me want to be better," don't take it lightly. It's one of the deepest compliments a woman can receive. It means he sees you not just as someone he desires, but someone who awakens him, someone who touches the deepest parts of his potential, someone who makes him want to lead, love, provide, protect, not out of obligation, but out of that phrase, It's love dressed as aspiration. It's connection built on admiration. And it's the kind of phrase that, when said sincerely, echoes far beyond the moment. It lives in a man's actions, decisions, and evolution. It marks the moment you stopped being just another person in his life and became the reason he started becoming someone great. So you've heard the phrase, "I was just thinking about you, you make me want to be better." Or maybe even, "I've never told anyone this before." Now what? Here's the truth. When a man opens up emotionally, whether directly or through these subtle phrases, it's not just about what he says, it's about what you do next. Your response in these moments can either deepen the bond or make him retreat. These phrases are more than conversation starters. They're emotional invitations, and how you receive them matters more than you think. First, remember, men aren't always raised to express feelings openly. When a man gets vulnerable, even in the subtlest way, he's stepping out of his comfort zone. He's taking a risk. So if your first reaction is cold, sarcastic, distracted, or dismissive, even if unintentional, it can send a powerful message. You can't be soft here. And once that door closes, it rarely reopens the same way. So what's the best way to respond? Stay present. Whether he says something funny, deep, or emotional, pause. Look him in the eye. Let there be a beat of silence if needed. Don't rush to fill the space. Your calm, steady presence sends a message. You're safe to share this with me. Acknowledge, don't analyze. One of the biggest mistakes women make in these moments is over-analyzing his words instead of receiving them. If he says, "You remind me of someone I used to care about," you don't need to dig into who she was, what happened, or compare yourself. Instead, say something like, "I appreciate you sharing that. It means a lot." That's it. Sometimes the best response is the simplest one. Mirror his tone. If he's being thoughtful or vulnerable, don't throw in a joke just to lighten the mood. Emotional mismatching can confuse or deflate the moment. Instead, let your energy mirror his, gentle, sincere, and grounded. If he shares something raw, respond with soft confidence. That quiet emotional alignment is what creates deeper connection. Ask open-ended questions. When a man says, "You make me want to be better," you could respond with, "What do you mean by that?" Or, "In what way?" Not as a challenge, but as an invitation. Curiosity without judgment shows him that you value not just what he says, but who he's becoming. Offer warmth, not rescue. If he shares something painful, like a failure or past hurt, don't try to fix it. Don't give him a motivational speech, just hold the space. A simple, "That must have been tough," or "I'm really honored you felt safe sharing that with me," is more powerful than any solution. Men don't always need fixing. Sometimes they just need to feel felt. Speak with your eyes, not just your mouth. So much of your response is nonverbal. Your body language, your facial expression, your tone. These speak louder than words. If your voice is calm, your eyes are kind, and your energy is open, he'll feel it, even if you say very little. Emotional safety is communicated through presence, not perfection. Lastly, and this might be the most important, don't overreact to these phrases. If you turn it into a huge emotional event, every time he shares something soft, it might overwhelm him. Let it feel normal for a man to be vulnerable around you. Let it feel natural. That's the magic.